Hello, welcome to my Des312 post-mortem video. Throughout the semester, I created a prototype called Target Crackers, where your goal is to shoot as many targets as possible before they reach you. If the targets do reach you, then they will destroy you. If you destroy a target, they will respawn in a random location and immediately start attacking you again. As my inspiration for this game is actually from the week 1 game Devil Daggers that we were showing in week 1. I thought this game was really cool, didn't get a chance to play it, but I took quite a lot of inspiration from it for this mechanic. I liked the idea, looking at videos, I liked the idea of the skulls spawning in around you and having to look around you and shoot. So I thought that'd be quite a cool mechanic to try and implement myself. So I had a crack at it, and this is what I came up with. We go into the build here. So the player spawns behind this little red line here. This red line just signifies that the targets will not spawn beyond that red line. And this is the game where you're just basically trying to destroy as many targets as you can before they reach you. Another little mechanic that I added in later on was the 360 mode. This wasn't originally planned, but after testing I added this in, if I can get to without dying. Is this little mode here where you go into the middle here, and, well, I'm crap at the game so I'm going to die, but you go into the middle there, try this one more time, and you are, well, I'll just leave it there. You have to go around and aim with 360. So it basically goes from like a flat plane to like a 360 plane, which people find quite cool after testing. Speaking of testing, I had 3 testing sessions and I used 2 different methods. To begin with, I just used Microsoft Forms. This is my first testing session. It didn't include Unity Analytics quite yet. All I asked was if the game was playable, which it was, apart from one who I fell off the map, which was a mistake. If the game was fun or not, if the game was challenging, if the game mechanics felt good, which was a mixed response. But the thing I gained most from this was basically just figuring out like where the areas of improvement were needed, and then what I found was that if people didn't really find the game fun, they thought it was quite stale after a while. This was when there was only one target, the player could barely move left and right, there was no jumping, you couldn't go into there was no 360 mode, so players thought it was quite stale. So as a result, I increased the player movement and stuff like that, increased the targets and stuff to make it more fun, and as a result I created a second testing session, this one with Unity Analytics, which I'll go into in a second, but I created a second form, basically the same form as before, however instead you get a few targeted questions, like if there was a 360 mode, if the game was challenging, how did the player movement feel as I developed the player movement feel, how did the targets feel, so I changed the target size a bit and the speed of it, and I got a lot of details back, a lot more improvements in players saying it was a bit more fun, but still not quite fun, because they found it too easy. So what I did is that I went into Unity Analytics and started to record every time a target was hit, as target hit, and every time the target was the gun was fired, the gun was fired. So I then took this and stored it in the data, and then I stored it in the Unity Analytics cloud up here. As you can see down here, this is just where I start. This is just from today when I just double checking the game was working or not. So you see here, every time the gun was shot and the game was ended. So we go into the event manager here. You can just go scroll down to here. This is the shotgun function here, where it just stores the fired gun as an integer and the target set as an integer. This is where I stored it. I was able to see if it was working or not. But if we go into Excel here, I took all the data from the Excel sheet found inside of the project files here and compile it all into one table here. This is testing phase 1, this is testing phase 2. Testing phase 1, I took the target, in both tables actually, I took the fired gun and the target set and created an accuracy table, and averaged it out, so this would be a 72% or 73% basically, and then 61% in the second when I made changes. What I gained from information I gained from this was that players were it was too easy to fire at the targets, or the targets I should say, so there's only one target in this build here, but as 72% accuracy as well, so it wasn't really challenging. But after I decreased the target size, increased the target number to 3, and increased the speed of the targets, people found that, the testers I should say, found it a lot more difficult. As you can see here, the targets averaged lowered a lot to 41, and after the testing, I wanted it a bit lower as well, so I decreased the target size one more time and increased the speed by 1 to 8, which proved to be a difficult challenge. As you can see there, as I died twice. Well, was the mechanic a success? I would say yes, it was a big success. I went into this with a lot of ideas, but on week 3 I settled on a Devil Daggers idea, and I thought I created it quite well. I thought it represented what I wanted to do. It was fun to make, and I thought it was a good execution of it. What went wrong? What went well was the execution of it. As I just said, everything went out quite well. I had a solid plan, and I executed it. Granted, it took quite a while, but it worked out in the end. What went wrong was probably the testing aspect of it. I wanted to test quite a lot more. I wanted to test like how long it took the player to take the game, or how long they stayed alive for, etc. But that just didn't really work out. I also feel like the game was a bit too simple. After testing a lot of other people's games in the labs as well, I feel like it could have been a lot more fleshed out, but it was too late at that point. So I just put my head down and just kept going with it. But I feel like if I had to do this again, I feel like a more complicated mechanic would be appropriate. But what I've learned from this is probably that my programming skills are still quite lackluster. I'm not really a huge fan of programming. I like the data analytics and the stuff like that and the design, but I'm crap at actually implementing it in Unity. Having to use quite a lot of tutorials, which I've referenced in the files and stuff like that. But I feel like it was overall a good success, but I've learned that I need to add to my programming skills, as I think everyone can use a lot of a good range of programming skills, despite even if you aren't a programmer. I think it'd be quite useful to understand gaming. So how this prototype might be further improved. A lot of people were complaining about the complexity of the game. A lot of the testers were first-person shooter backgrounds or had some sort of skill in it, if not most, then all. But so I feel like having a difficulty adjuster to have, so they can adjust the difficulty based on their preferences, would be nice. Also, the audio cues as well. A lot of these kind of games have audio cues when you hit them, which is something I would add as well. And also like adjusters of like UI and like death menus, and also a high score. I was going to add a high score in, but I couldn't figure out how to add it into like a database. So when you quit the game and relaunched it, it would save it. But that would be something I would implement if I were to launch this into a full game, so a player can have something to aim for and beat their high score every time they come in the game. Apart from that, I thought this mechanic can fit quite well into a modern landscape of gaming. It's quite it's quite a good mechanic that can be used in quite a lot of scenarios. Obviously, this one here is based off the Devil Daggers mechanic, where you have to shoot them and actually go around you, but it could be like a magnet system, or it could be like a retrieval system, something like that. It could be used in a wide range of things, so I think it fits quite well into the modern video game landscape, and I think it can be used in a lot more scenarios than just shooting targets. So yeah, overall I enjoyed this, and I thought it was a really fun mechanic to make. I'm quite proud of how it made out, despite the fact I think it could be a lot more fleshed out, but I hope you like it too. So thank you for listening.